Hey everyone, John Pollock here alongside Jimmy Corderas, and we are coming off the TNA Lockdown pay-per-view. And Jimmy, last week we talked about this pay-per-view. Man, you and I, we were going into this one cautiously optimistic. Cautious being the operative word here. Glass, not half empty. I think it was completely empty after Sunday night.
Well, in the famous words of Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, broken glass everywhere, especially after this pay-per-view.
This was quite the show, folks. If you had spent your $35, $45 for this particular all-steel cage match pay-per-view. We went into it with a lot of optimism, but let's chat about what went wrong. Pretty much the final hour of this particular pay-per-view. Main event saw the lethal lockdown match. Team MVP prevails. So much happened in this particular match. I saw one dude take a brainbuster through a chair. We saw Bully Ray turn babyface just weeks after he was threatening a man's newborn children. Now he has found faith, apparently.
The thing I didn't like about it, obviously other than what you've already stated, too much stuff going on. Nothing felt special because everything was try to top the other guy with a crazy brainbuster through the chair, smash with a goalie stick or whatever. But it did make sense to me that the baby faces needed help to win this match when they were on the verge of losing. It should have been the other way around from a logic standpoint. You know what I mean? With Bully Ray being the guy to help the baby faces win. That made no sense to me.
What about Jeff Hardy? He returned under a mask as Willow the Wisp, his old Omega character. Is this going to be a revamped version of the Midnight Rider here? Mr. America putting a very marketable babyface under a mask as apparently an insect?
I don't get this either, and I think the promos that he's been doing going into this have been strange to say the least. This is not going to work. And you're right. Here's the guy that could have been the face of the company. He's the most over baby face that they have. So let's not show him on television.
Let's put him under a mask. All right, let's move over. There was worse on this show. The TNA title match, there was Magnus, who kept the title, defeating Samoa Joe after Joe had him in the coquina clutch. And then from there, a mysterious hand came up from under the ring, searching for its target, and then, as Mike today described, Samoa Joe has been dragged to hell. Joe returned from hell and then proceeded to get beaten after Abyss came out, minus the mask, and then Magnus choked out Samoa Joe. The crowd, they went from just anger to absolute silence here during this post-match beatdown.
Yeah, and you add into this whole equation that he brought Janice with him, which is the spiked bat or lumber or whatever the hell that is, and then he hits Joe with it in the stomach. This is an object that you can't use in a wrestling ring because it makes no sense. This should have been the pay-per-view called Lockdown. No sense at all.
Well, it was a bit of a letdown for many people. Was there positives to take from this? I thought that Gunner and James Storm had a very good match. Great Muta got a very good reaction from the audience, despite no promotion on television that he was showing up on this particular pay-per-view. But the highlights, few and far between on this show. Yeah,
they're hard to kind of find. You had to pick and choose, really. I thought the Japanese contingent did very well. Obviously, Tiger Uno was a good little plus there in his match, but overall, it just didn't make up for the negatives.
Yes. Seiya Sanada, another Japanese wrestler, he was in the opener. He's actually coming in for a sustained run with the X Division title. TNA Lockdown, I think very different rules now. With the WWE Network out and you're running 4 pay-per-views a year, they have to be booked to have climactic finishes, not these stupid outs to a title match so that we can prolong things and make people want to spend their money here. I mean, this was the equivalent almost of what you're asking a WWE fan to pay for 6 months for the network, and you can't just be throwing away random pay-per-views with no consequences attached to them. So TNA Lockdown got a thumbs down in my books. They will be back later this year with another pay-per-view. Hopefully it's a better effort.